Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you were just being brutally honest, completely authentic, or simply direct about what you think, only to feel a strange chill enter the room? It's a moment that can make you second-guess yourself, even though you weren't trying to offend anyone. You were just being you, unvarnished and real. Yet, you sense a subtle shift, a quiet withdrawal, or even a hidden resentment from others. Why does this happen? Why is it that the very quality we often praise, authenticity, realness, can sometimes lead to a feeling of alienation, or even secret dislike from those around us? Is it merely that people can't handle the truth? Or is there a deeper, more uncomfortable way our minds actually work? When someone is truly unapologetically themselves, what if being too real isn't about your truth, but about what your truth exposes in them? It's a confusing feeling, isn't it? You try to be genuine, believing that people want real connections, that they value honesty above all else. But instead of drawing others closer, your directness often seems to push them away. You might start to wonder if there's something wrong with you, if your approach is flawed, or if the world is just full of people who prefer pleasant lies over uncomfortable truths. This isn't just about a few awkward moments. It's a pervasive pattern that can leave you feeling isolated and misunderstood. This is about a deep human tendency, a hidden part of how we all deal with reality and interact with each other. Wise thinkers throughout history have looked at this exact problem. They understood that true honesty, especially raw, unfiltered truth, can be like holding up a mirror, and what others see in that mirror isn't always pretty. Your realness can show them their own masks, their own pretenses, or even things they don't want to face about themselves. It's not about you being unlikable. It's about what your unfiltered presence forces them to see. It challenges their comfort zones, their self-deceptions, and sometimes even their carefully constructed identities. Today we're going on an exploration into this often unspoken truth. We'll look at why your commitment to being too real can sometimes feel like a strength that also isolates you. We'll uncover the deep reasons why people might secretly resent your honesty, even when they say they value it. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand why this happens, but you'll also gain a powerful new way to see yourself, others, and the real impact of living an authentic life. This journey will equip you with a deeper understanding of human nature, allowing you to navigate your relationships with more wisdom and less self-doubt. To truly understand why being too real can create such a strange reaction in others, we need to dive into some core ideas about human nature and how we interact. We'll start with a concept that helps us see the different layers we all have. Think of it like this. Every single one of us wears a kind of mask. Not a fake mask, no, but a social one. A necessary costume we put on for different roles and situations. The famous Swiss psychologist Carl Jung called this mask the persona. The persona is the part of ourselves we show to the world. It's the collection of roles we play. You know, the dutiful employee, the supportive friend, the cheerful neighbor, the responsible parent, the polite stranger. We carefully choose how we present ourselves, to fit in, to be liked, to meet expectations, and, well, to protect ourselves from judgment or vulnerability. It's the polite smile you offer to a difficult customer, the agreeable nod in a boring conversation, the perfectly crafted social media profile that highlights only your successes. It's truly the face you present when you want to be seen in a particular light. Why do we wear this persona? Because it makes life easier, smoother, and more predictable. Society has rules, both spoken and unspoken, about how we should behave in different contexts. If you're at a formal dinner, you probably don't start cracking crude jokes or loudly airing your grievances. If you're at a job interview, you don't reveal every single doubt or insecurity you've ever had about your qualifications. We learned very early on that to get along, to be accepted, and to succeed, we really need to adapt our behavior to different situations. The persona is how we navigate these complex social waters. It's a necessary tool for daily life, a kind of social lubricant that prevents constant friction. Without it, every interaction might be an intense, unfiltered confrontation, which would be exhausting for everyone. Everyone has a persona. Even the most authentic person still makes choices about what they share and when. It's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just how we function in a complex world. The problem, though, arises when we become so identified with our persona that we forget who we truly are beneath it, or when others become so attached to their own masks that they fear anything that might crack them. They become comfortable in their roles, and any disruption to that comfort feels threatening. Now, imagine you, the too real person, enter a room. Let's say it's a typical office meeting. Everyone is in their professional persona, polite, slightly formal, perhaps a bit guarded. They're playing their roles, speaking in a way that aligns with expectations, carefully choosing their words to avoid conflict or stand out too much. Someone asks a question about a project, and instead of giving the expected safe answer, the one that aligns with the group consensus or avoids rocking the boat, you offer a truly honest, perhaps critical, assessment. You speak your mind, not to be rude, but because you genuinely believe it's the truth, and it needs to be said for the good of the project or the team. What happens? The chill you described. Why? Because your realness challenges everyone else's persona. When you drop your own mask, even a little, it makes others feel like they should drop theirs too. And that can be incredibly uncomfortable, even jarring. It's like someone suddenly turning on a bright, unfiltered spotlight in a dimly lit room where everyone was perfectly comfortable hiding in the shadows. Your authenticity highlights their own carefully constructed facades, their own cautious adherence to social norms. And not everyone is ready to confront that. It's not about you being wrong, it's about you being different in a way that makes their carefully maintained social identity feel shaky, vulnerable, or even exposed. Your directness implicitly asks, why aren't you being this real? And for many, that question is deeply unsettling. But it goes even deeper than just the persona. What happens to all those parts of us that don't fit neatly into our persona? All the feelings, thoughts, and impulses that society tells us are, well, bad, unacceptable, or unpleasant? These parts don't just disappear. Instead, they get pushed down, hidden away, into what Jung called the shadow. The shadow is like our psychological basement. It's where we store everything we've denied about ourselves. Our anger, our envy, our selfishness, our laziness, our insecurities, our wild desires, our hidden prejudices, even our unfulfilled potential and suppressed creativity. We put them there because we believe they make us unlovable, unworthy, or socially unacceptable. We might be ashamed of them or simply afraid of what would happen if they saw the light of day. And for many people, the shadow remains largely unconscious. They don't even realize these parts exist within them, influencing their thoughts and behaviors from below the surface. They've locked the door to that basement and thrown away the key. When you, with your too real presence, show up, you can unwittingly trigger someone else's shadow. How? Because your honesty, your freedom, your directness, your unapologetic nature, they might reflect qualities they've pushed into their own shadow. You might embody something they secretly wish they could be, or express something they deeply feel, but never allow themselves to acknowledge. Imagine someone who secretly resents their mundane job, their crushing routine, or their lack of personal freedom. But they present a cheerful team player persona every day. They convince themselves and others that they're perfectly content. You, being too real, might express boredom or frustration with a similar situation. Or perhaps you just live a life that seems visibly freer, more adventurous, or more aligned with your desires than theirs. Your honesty about your feelings, or your visible pursuit of your truth, can act like a spotlight on their repressed feelings, their unfulfilled desires, their unspoken dreams, or their quiet despair. They see your authenticity, and, subconsciously, they see what they've suppressed in themselves. This can create a deep, uncomfortable feeling within them, a flicker of their own shadow stirring awake. It's not that they hate you. No, they hate what you represent that they can't be or acknowledge within themselves. And how do people typically deal with uncomfortable feelings that arise from their own hidden parts? They project them. This is where projection comes in. Projection is a powerful psychological defense mechanism where we unconsciously attribute our own unacceptable thoughts, feelings, or qualities to another person. Instead of acknowledging, "I feel frustrated with my life," or "I'm envious of their freedom," someone might unconsciously think, "That person is so negative and disruptive," or "They're arrogant for thinking they're above everyone else." They can't tolerate the uncomfortable feeling, so they literally push it onto you, making you the container for their unacknowledged parts. So when you are being too real, especially when it comes to expressing discomfort, challenging norms, or just living freely and authentically, people might project their own denied shadow qualities onto you. If they secretly resent their own conformity, they might see your authenticity as arrogance or a need to be special. If they suppress their own anger or frustration, they might see your directness as aggression or rudeness. If they feel inadequate or insecure, they might see your confidence as a threat or your happiness as boastful. They are not seeing you. They are seeing their own inner demons reflected back at them, and they are blaming you for it. It's crucial to understand this. It's not you they hate. It's the reflection of their own shadow that they see in you that makes them uncomfortable. They're not angry at your truth. They're angry at the truth about themselves that your presence highlights. They may not even be aware they're doing this. It's almost entirely an unconscious process. This explains why the resentment can feel so subtle, so hidden, so difficult to pinpoint. It's a secret dislike because it stems from a secret, unacknowledged part of themselves. This takes us to another fundamental aspect of human nature, our relationship with truth itself. Throughout history, wise thinkers have pointed out that humans often have a complicated, even paradoxical, relationship with truth. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, for example, suggested that while we might intellectually claim to love truth, we often prefer comfort and pleasant illusions. We seek peace of mind, and sometimes, truth is anything but peaceful. Friedrich Nietzsche also explored this idea, suggesting that our deepest drive isn't always for objective truth, but often for power, security, or self-preservation, which sometimes means, well, maintaining comforting fictions about ourselves and the world. We build mental structures that protect us, even if those structures are made of self-deception. Think about it. How often do we tell ourselves little lies to get through the day, or to avoid difficult choices? I'm too busy to pursue that dream. My boss doesn't appreciate me, so why bother trying harder? Everything is fine, really. I'm happy with how things are. These are often convenient fictions that protect us from uncomfortable realities, like the fear of failure, the effort required for change, the pain of disappointment, or the uncertainty of the unknown. These fictions save us psychic energy, that immense mental and emotional effort it takes to face a difficult truth, to admit shortcomings, or to embark on a challenging path of change. It's simply easier to maintain the illusion. When you're too real, you are in essence shattering these convenient fictions. Your unfiltered presence and honest remarks, they can disrupt the delicate balance of polite untruths and shared illusions that many people use to navigate their lives. You inadvertently pop their protective bubble of comfort. Let's imagine a scenario. A group of friends is complaining about a common issue. Let's say they're demanding jobs. They're all sharing surface-level frustrations, reinforcing each other's victimhood, which feels comforting and validating in its shared experience. It's a moment of bonding over shared misery. Then you, being too real, might say something like, "Well, if you really hate it that much, why don't you start looking for a new one, or try to figure out what you really do want?" There are always options. Suddenly, the comfortable shared complaint is gone. Your truth challenges their inertia, their excuses, their unwillingness to face the discomfort of change. You've presented a very direct, very real option, one that forces them to confront their own passivity, their fear of the unknown, or their reluctance to put in the effort required for a job search. This is an uncomfortable jolt. It's not that your statement is wrong. In fact, it might be profoundly right. But it's too right, too direct, too much of a mirror to their own lack of action. And the natural reaction to that discomfort, well, it can be resentment, or a quiet withdrawal, or a feeling that you're being critical or disruptive, even if your intention was simply to be helpful and honest. You've broken the unspoken social contract of shared complaint. This brings us back to the powerful mirror effect that was mentioned earlier. Your realness, your honesty, your willingness to be yourself. It acts like a clear, bright mirror held up to others. And what they see isn't always what they want to see, is it? It's a reflection of their own inner landscape, their unexamined life. They might see their own carefully constructed masks and feel the pressure to drop them. That's a scary thought for many who've become reliant on their personas. They might see their own repressed desires, their unfulfilled dreams, their compromises, or even their own lack of courage. All of that reflected in your choices and your visible freedom. If they've chosen to be polite over honest, to conform over create, your authentic presence can make them feel the sting of their own unlived life, a quiet sense of regret or envy. It's a subtle form of judgment, not from you, but from their own conscience, stirred awake by your example. You become a living embodiment of what they've suppressed or abandoned within themselves. History, it's just full of examples of this phenomenon, showing us that this human tendency is, it's timeless. Think about Socrates, who famously challenged the conventional wisdom of Athens. He simply asked questions, persistently pushing people to examine their beliefs, their assumptions, and acknowledge their own ignorance. His realness and demanding intellectual honesty, it was so unsettling, so disruptive to the comfortable status quo that it eventually led to his execution. He held up a mirror to the Athenians, forcing them to see their own unexamined lives and, their false wisdom, and they just couldn't tolerate it. The truth, in their eyes, was just too dangerous. Or, consider Galileo, who dared to state a scientific truth that contradicted the established beliefs of his time. His truth, though objective and frankly verifiable, was too real for a world built on different assumptions and religious dogma. It threatened the power structures, the comfort of a geocentric universe, and that whole comforting understanding of the world that people just clung to. He was met with intense opposition, not because his truth was inherently wrong, but because, it was just deeply disruptive to the prevailing order. It caused, way too much cognitive dissonance. Now, in modern times, we see this often, don't we? In people who challenge the status quo in their workplaces or, their communities. The person who speaks up about an inefficiency or who questions an outdated tradition or even refuses to participate in office gossip, or maybe who simply lives their life in a way that doesn't conform to typical expectations, they can face similar resentment. It's not about malice on your part, no. It's about the discomfort your truth generates in those who simply prefer their illusions, their comfort, and their predictable routines. You become an uncomfortable reminder that another way of living is possible, a way they might be too afraid, or perhaps just unwilling to pursue themselves. So, if you've felt this secret dislike, this alienation, this subtle pushback, you are absolutely not alone. It's a common experience for those who dare to live authentically, in a world that often rewards conformity, pleasant fictions, and unspoken rules. You might even start to question yourself. Should I be less real? Should I dilute my truth to fit in? This is a very natural and understandable struggle. No one wants to feel isolated or secretly disliked. The human need for belonging is powerful. But let's be very clear about something important. Being too real is not the same as being rude, tactless, or aggressive. This is a common misconception. And sometimes, people mistakenly use authenticity as an excuse to be hurtful, blunt, or inconsiderate of others' feelings. True authenticity, especially in a mature sense, is not about simply blurting out every thought or feeling you have without considering the impact on others. That's just unfiltered, often unconscious, behavior that can actually stem from your own unintegrated shadow content, perhaps a need to dominate, to shock, or to prove yourself. Instead, conscious authenticity means being true to your deepest values, your genuine self, and expressing it with wisdom, awareness, and often compassion. It's about aligning your actions with your inner truth, not necessarily always saying the most uncomfortable thing possible. It's about choosing when and how to share your truth, rather than suppressing it entirely. It's about knowing your boundaries and respecting others' boundaries, while still remaining fundamentally true to who you are. The distinction is vital. Are you being real to express yourself and your truth, or to expose others and their perceived flaws? The latter often comes from our own unintegrated shadow, a desire to elevate ourselves by putting others down. Conscious authenticity is about integrity, not judgment. Understanding these dynamics, the persona, the shadow, projection, and our complicated relationship with truth, gives you immense power. It allows you to step back and see that the resentment you might experience isn't usually personal. It's not about you being fundamentally unlikable or wrong. It's about the uncomfortable stirrings your presence creates within others. Perhaps they're less aware of their own inner worlds, less willing to face their own suppressed truths, or too reliant on their social masks. You're simply holding up a mirror, and they don't like what they see of themselves. This knowledge doesn't mean you have to change who you are. In fact, it reinforces the importance of being true to yourself, but it does give you a powerful new way to see yourself and others. It helps you recognize that when someone reacts negatively to your authenticity, it's often a sign of their own internal struggles, their own unexamined life, not a reflection of your worth or your character. It allows you to feel less hurt, less confused, and more empowered. By understanding this, you can navigate your relationships with more compassion, both for yourself and for others. You can continue on your path of being genuinely yourself, knowing that the challenges you face are often a sign of your strength, your integrity, and your willingness to live a more truthful and courageous life. This path of consciously living your truth, integrating all parts of yourself, is what Jung called individuation, the journey of becoming your whole and unique self. It's a challenging journey, sometimes a lonely one, but ultimately the most rewarding one, leading to profound self-acceptance and inner peace. So we've journeyed deep into why your genuine self can sometimes stir up secret dislike in others. We've unmasked the persona, explored the hidden depths of the shadow, and understood how projection turns internal discomfort into external resentment. We saw that your realness isn't just about your truth. It's a powerful mirror reflecting their own unspoken fears, hidden desires, or comfortable illusions. The chill you feel isn't a sign that you're unlikable, but rather a testament to your courage in living authentically in a world that often prefers polite fictions. If you've experienced this quiet pushback, this subtle alienation for simply being yourself, know this: you are not alone, and you are not fundamentally flawed. This reaction is less about who you are, and more about the uncomfortable truths your presence illuminates in them. Your commitment to being real is a strength. It's a sign that you are on the challenging, yet deeply rewarding path of becoming your most integrated and unique self, what Jung called individuation. This understanding doesn't mean you should dilute your truth or become less of who you are. Instead, it empowers you to live with conscious authenticity. You can express yourself with wisdom, awareness, and compassion, choosing when and how to share your deepest insights without sacrificing who you are. It allows you to stand firm in your truth, knowing its power. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you felt this secret dislike, this subtle alienation for simply being yourself? Share your experiences and thoughts in the comments below. Let's open up a space where we can discuss these powerful human dynamics, learn from each other, and build a community around genuine self-exploration. And if you're ready to continue exploring the fascinating depths of the human mind and living a more genuinely truthful life, then make sure to hit that subscribe button. Join our community as we continue to uncover profound insights into ourselves and the world around us. Your journey of self-discovery is just beginning.